All righty. Welcome, everybody, to the Jared and Brett podcast. This is episode 1. Brett, this has been a long time coming. We have talked about doing a podcast for a long time. 2020, we did actually begin the process of getting one ready, but never quite got it through to the production stage. So we're in a lot of better places now. You're currently in Arizona, living with your girlfriend, Erilyn, working at Amazon. I'm here in the Bay Area, California, living with my newly proposed to fiance, and working and currently getting close to taking my real estate exam and becoming a real estate agent in the Bay Area. So it's a very, very exciting time, and no better way to really talk and get information as well as just knowledge out there is to talk about it on a podcast. So,
exactly.
Pending a great name, because it's just the Jared and Brett podcast, and everyone would think that's extremely boring.
Extremely boring, but we're great people, so I think we should keep it that.
I think so. But we have discussed and talked about some things that we should do just to kind of start off podcasts. First things first, Brett, would you like to talk about a win and a learn? Because you never lose, just you learn.
Of course. Well. So first off, congratulations, Jared.
Thank you.
Big time. I just we'll get into our story a little bit later on as we go throughout this podcast and kind of when we met. But you've really grown up a lot, so it's pretty awesome.
Thanks,
to see.
Man.
And I'm excited for you and Maddie. So
thank you.
So obviously, kind of to Jared's point, we're going to do our win and our learn. We never lose, or we never fail. We always learn from our situations. So I guess the big thing that I would say I won this week is just consistency. I think when it comes to training, when it comes to motivation, and we'll kind of want to touch point on this a little bit later in the podcast or later down the road on another podcast, is trying to find that determination and that consistency in my life. And I think that's something that I've really done very well over the last probably week and a half. With just continuing to wake up, work out, hitting the day, on the right foot, and just really charging into the day instead of like letting the day come to me. I think that's something that I've struggled with in the past, that I've really been focusing on over the last few weeks, and I think I've really grown from and learned from. And I think obviously my learn is kind of the opposite of that, is obviously understanding where I came from. Understanding, that determination, that hard work, it's always going to pay off. And so just continuing to, when I get those moments or when I get into those times, because obviously it's going to come back and it's going to always happen, but just finding that motivation to get going again, and just obviously continuing to improve and get better every day. So that's kind of my win and learn. How about yours?
Yeah. So for the win, I think for me, it's pretty obvious. Me getting engaged, getting down on one knee, and popping the question to my best friend. She's been the most supportive person I've known for the past 3.5, almost 4 years that we've been together. And it was an amazing day. Super, super great. Beautiful. No fog in Half Moon Bay. Next day was actually really foggy. So it was really, really, really amazing that it happened Perfect. The way it did. So that was my win. My learn, taking it one day at a time. And I know it's the cheesiest thing you could ever hear, but it's so extremely true. My grandfather used to say it to me all the time, and I was like, yeah, Grandpa, yeah. But it's so true, and I've felt it more and more so recently, the real reality to that saying of one day at a time. You always need to live in the moment. You always need to enjoy what's right in front of you, because when you fixate on things too far away, it's so easy for life to just pass you by. And when I asked Maddie to be my wife, that was like the biggest lesson, was just to enjoy and focus on the moment and keep it one day at a time. Enjoy the steps, enjoy the growth that we have together. And that also translates what you were talking about in terms of fitness. Is I also learned a lot about myself this week. One, I have had an extremely exciting historical landmark in my life. But when I went to the gym, my gym workouts, just like, I just didn't feel motivated. I didn't feel like I had that energy to really tap in and go. And I still went every single day. And I, was like dreading the next day. Like, oh God, like tomorrow, really? But it was like, I hadn't even really started my workouts for the day I was in. And I got to the gym, put that work in, suffered immensely. But I started digging myself out of that hole. And Friday was like the day where it was like, oh yeah, like I'm back, baby, let's go. All week long.
It's kind of funny you say that too as well. I didn't mean to cut you off there,
all
but
good.
I had the same thing happen to me yesterday. I work with Amazon, right? We're a 24-hour business, so I work some crazy hours sometimes. And so for the past few months, I've been starting at 2 a.m. And so waking up at 1:15, heading into work is obviously very brutal. Going to bed early, not getting much sleep, that kind of stuff. And so I kind of had that same feeling that you did yesterday when I got home from work, and got home, had a little snack, lay down on the couch, ended up taking a nap, and me and Erin were talking about going out to dinner. I was like, yeah, you know what? I'm just going to not work out today. I'm just going to call it my day off. I'd been looking forward to working out. I've been following this new workout program. It's been super fun. It's helping me improve my lifestyle and help me prepare for some of my future goals down the road, which we can discuss later. But to that point, though, it's like I had decided that, you know what? I'm too tired. I'd rather just go and eat dinner, that kind of stuff. I'm not going to go. I ended up changing my mind very last second. I'm like, you know what? No, like, screw that. I'm going to go work out. Went ahead. Wasn't the best workout in the world. I hit legs. My legs were shot, obviously, because I haven't worked out legs like that in a long time. But honestly, like, working out, getting through that, and at the very end of that, I was so proud of myself in a sense that I stuck it out and I got that done. And not only was I proud of myself, but I felt so much better, actually. I had more energy, and I just felt good overall. It was one of those things where, kind of like to your point, when you get to those moments where you kind of don't have that will to continue, or that drive, sometimes all it takes is just to start and just to get going, to force yourself to do that, and then things turn around and things get better, and so on and so forth. So, kind of just wanted to put that point out there based off of what you were talking about.
Yeah, absolutely. It's one of those things that everything compounds over time. And, I like to take extreme accountability for like my lifestyle, what I do every single day. I have a routine. I stick to it. Just that $1 million mindset you have to have every single day you wake up in the morning. Like I wake up at 6 a.m. every morning. Do I want to wake up at 6 a.m.? Not really. And sometimes I'm more motivated than other days to get up at 6 a.m. But, I got to go to work. I got to go get my workout in. I got to take care of my software and my hardware every single day. So my hardware, I got to go to the gym. I got to get that workout in. My software, my mind, I got to, reflect. I got to go on my morning walk. I need to be able to, have those routines that really, get me checked off for the day. Make my side of the bed. I have to go make my coffee. All these little things, make the coffee for the house, let the dogs out. These are little checkpoints that I need to do every single day, or else my life just doesn't run the same. And it's those little things for me that really helped focus on those small things. And then the big things were like, feeling that I succeeded in my workout were like the next step. So it's easy to get in these ruts sometimes if you don't pay attention to what you're doing every single day. But when you really set yourself up with a routine, you're able to, check off those little achievements in the morning, whatever they may be. They don't have to be making your bed. They don't have to be making coffee. As long as you have something for you, those are the things that help you get out of those little ruts, get out of those speed bumps, so to speak, so that you can be successful in whatever you're doing and achieving.
The harder step is the first, and to your point, right? And like we talked about earlier, sometimes it seems like it's so difficult, but just doing something simple, doing something small, getting that first step in, and then from there, that first step leads to your next step and your next step, and the next thing you know, a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks later, it's like a process change. It's like your life has adapted, your life has adjusted to that style to where now it's become an everyday thing for you.
Mm-hmm.
and so it's cool. And I think that's like, kind of, I don't know why I just kind of randomly thought about that, but, they say when you're starting a workout or when you're starting the diet, the hardest part of that diet or that workout is the first, 14 days, I believe it was what it is staying consistent and staying, determined, and essentially consistency through those first 14 days. And if you can do that, if you can fight your mind, fight your urges to not go to the gym or to not eat that cookie or that kind of stuff, right? At the end of the day, it's all going to pay off, and hopefully help you improve your life and that process change kind of throughout.
Yeah, and another thing on top of that, like one of the biggest lessons that I've learned is it's a paradigm shift. What I was kind of talking about before, right? Like I have to wake up in the morning. I have to have an alarm. No, you get to have an alarm. You get to wake up in the morning. I have to go to work. At least you have a job, and I get to go to work. It's a privilege. It's an opportunity for you. Those little things, those points, the way you phrase that, is extremely important. You got to, reflecting and having gratitude toward the opportunities that you have. Oh, I have to work out. No, I get to work out. At least I have 4 limbs. At least I have a healthy body. All these things, being able to reflect on that is super, super important. And being grateful for it is even more important. Because having gratitude it's a reflection of energy on anybody else. If you're grateful and have gratitude toward yourself and others, that radiates to others. Having that little switch for me, I've always felt myself to be a pretty positive person, but having those little, paradigm switches and terming those things differently, repetition and what you say, it makes up for a lot of what energy and what positivity you have. So that's my 2 cents on that.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's funny too as well, and so I'm a huge like cheesy motivational quote guy.
I love that stuff.
Exactly right. I think as I guess in quotes dumb as it might sound, right? There's also true, and they're all super good, motivational. They're good to live by because they really do, as much as and how cheesy as they sound, they are good motivation, and they are really all true. And it's kind of funny, kind of not necessarily based off of the cheesy quotes, but Amazon has this mentality of it's always day one, and kind of to our points, right, is going into each day, waking up, learning, and always wanting to grow, and that's always just going to kind of be that mindset we have to have when it comes to going in life, especially like to your point, right? We get the opportunity to wake up every day. We get the opportunity to have a job. Unfortunately, a lot of people don't get to do that every day. So being grateful for what we have and what we're able to do, and then obviously continuing to push ourselves and grow off of that, it's just going to make us, strive and grow. So, but yeah, it's a good little, I guess we should maybe get into introductions.
Yeah.
We kind of do that.
And I thought of this as the greatest way to coin our relationship. We push each other extremely hard. Each of us, and a lot of our friendship is foundationed on getting better every single day, moving that needle forward that much more. But the way we kind of met, we met in college. We played Division II college soccer in the NCAA. So it's a California Collegiate.
Athletic
Association. Yes.
CCAA.
The CCAA. Brett came from Folsom, Sacramento area. I grew up here in the Bay Area. We met in orientation. Been best buds ever since.
Do you remember that day?
Absolutely. You had no idea who I was.
I know. I was gonna go off of that. I was like, who is this guy coming to talk to me? Because somehow he knew who I was, but I know who he was.
Yeah.
But that's funny. I was actually going to bring that up.
I paid attention to the news articles. The school had these news articles that they'd post, and I saw your name was up there. And when we were in the orientation group together, I noticed you looked very, very familiar, and I remembered exactly who you were. But throughout our whole 4 years of us, playing college ball together, and then afterwards. During the summer times, we'd always meet up early. We'd go train, we'd go play, we'd go lift. we'd always keep each other accountable. After that, Brett was in Germany for a while, and now he's was in San Diego, now Arizona. It's always been, hey, what are you doing now to move the needle forward? We've always had very similar goals, which is it's been amazing to have somebody like that to really to help with that.
We push each other, which is cool, and I think that's one of the biggest reasons why we were so close, especially through college, is because they had that person to always push us to be better, whether it was on the field, whether it was off the field, whether it was in the classroom, kind of just anything in life. Obviously, everybody knows. If you don't know, I wasn't great in class. So Jared was always the one. You're like my mother in a sense. You always make sure you go to class, make sure you get your shit done.
Yeah.
So and to be honest with you, I as much as I got mad at you when you used to say that all the time, but I do thank you for that, because I finally finished. I finally got my degree, and look at that.
If I had a little cheering icon on here to make like applause, I would totally do that right now.
We can add that in.
Oh wait, here you go. Here we go. Ready?
Nothing popped up, but
can you hear it?
Oh no.
Hold on. We're gonna put it in. Maybe not. No, that's fine.
Well, worst case, we'll edit it in.
All right, yeah.
But yeah, no. But I think to that point, right? It's like we've always been there for each other. Oh, there we go. Look at that. Thank you. We've always been there to push each other, and I think that's one of the reasons why we were so close. And it's obviously helped our relationship grow. And it was kind of funny. We were talking about this yesterday. We were texting each other. It's kind of sad when you get older and when you grow up, because we went from legit seeing each other every day, living with each other for pretty much 4 years. So now I haven't seen you in what's going to be probably a year in a few months. And so it's kind of one of the things where it's like, it's sad when you get older, your friend groups get smaller. You lose friends, you gain new friends. But it's always those true friends who are always there. It's kind of one of those things where I don't need to see you every day. We don't need to talk every day, but whenever we do, it's like it's like I saw you yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's something that I'm obviously truly grateful for. And obviously I'm super excited to get to see you in a few months, and hopefully we'll get to do a live podcast. So look forward to that.
Yeah, we will definitely do
so
that.
I think, man, it's cool. I'm excited. Even as far away as we are from each other now, we're still pushing each other every day, continuing to grow. And continue to learn.
Yep.
Too, so super cool.
Yep. Absolutely. The feeling's mutual. The days that I felt like I was low, needed a push, you'd always be there. It's an amazing opportunity to be able to continue to have this friendship, continue to talk, have these things that we're able to do together. Running marathons, whatever our goals are in terms of our athletic ability. And then as well as, this podcast, right? Being able to do this, I wouldn't want to do it with anybody else. You're the guy that I've always wanted to do a podcast with like this. So it's exciting to be able to do, and I'm excited to see how much we can grow this. But I do, off of that, want to kind of get into kind of what we see this podcast as. A lot of what we wouldn't want to see this podcast as is rooted in our values and what we have gone through and would like to share with everybody else. So in terms of how we want to have this podcast and how we want it to grow, the biggest thing is we want to share the journey and the path that we went through during college and then after college, transitioning into the real world, because we do know, and anyone listening that is a former athlete, or even someone that never did any sports but still went through school, there is a transitioning process where you're going from the classroom to the real world school, to the real world in work, where there's definitely a phase in time where it's an extreme adaptation for you. I struggled with it more so in the sense of the transition from team to not having a sports team and not going in and reporting every single day. It's hard. and being able to share these types of instances that we have experiences with others. The goal is to show that, no one's alone in that. Everyone has their own journey. And the biggest thing is just to share that with everybody. And I think that'd be great if you could share kind of your journey through that as well. So just to kind of kick that off as well.
Yeah, so kind of to your point of what you're talking about. So obviously we played college together. I ended up going to Germany for little under a year. Ended up playing out there for a year. So it was a great opportunity. Really, really cool to be out there. But the season got canceled or got ended because of COVID, and I essentially came back from Germany and started to get into the workforce. I started as a tier 1 at Amazon and just kind of worked my way up, and it's led me all the way down to San Diego and then out here out to Tempe or Phoenix and Scottsdale, Arizona. So obviously, for me, I think kind of to your point, and it's something that I've really been considering and really thinking about over the last few weeks and months, is that transition and finding that why. And I think the biggest struggle for me that I had when I got out of sports is to your point, right? You lose that kind of team environment. You lose that drive. It's very easy for us every day to wake up. I mean, it's not necessarily easy, but it's easy for us to wake up and go to the gym and then go to practice and then go to class and then go to bed and go do extra workouts and training and stuff like that, because you have that consistent drive and you have that consistent why, right? You want to improve yourself. You want to improve your performance on the field, off the field, in the classroom, outside of the classroom, and so on and so forth. And I think the biggest thing that, specifically for me, I struggled with was just finding that kind of that teamwork environment, but also that drive. I kind of lost that drive when it came to, I didn't have that why in a sense. And so for the while there, right, I did struggle after sports and kind of figuring out what to do next. And, I think the more that I got more in depth and I pushed myself not only with my workouts outside of outside of sports, but also push myself within work, it's kind of given me that drive again when it comes to my life now. It's very difficult, but I think for me, my biggest point, I guess, in this whole point that I'm trying to say is just to really try to deep down and find your why. I think a lot of times people struggle to find that. It's not easy to find. But it is super important, and find that thing that makes you wake up every day and want to be better and want to push yourself and want to grow. Like we said, push that needle forward. And I think when you can truly find that, that's going to help you evolve and grow every day. And then that one thing is going to lead to your next thing, and then that next thing. And to our point, right? We had one of our things that we've always wanted to do is run a marathon. We did that in October. Cool. So now what's your next why? All right, well, what can I do next that's going to give me that motivation to continue to grow? Same thing, that could be the same thing in the workforce too, right? So I'm here, this level of my work, I have, X, Y, and Z to get done. I want to get promoted. I want to do X, Y, and Z. Cool. So what's that next thing that's going to help you drive? And then continue to build off of that and push yourself until you get to that next level. And then when you get there, you don't get comfortable. You can hang out, enjoy it there, take a little break. But then, okay, now what's the next step? Where am I going to go from there? And just continue to build off of that. It's going to be the biggest thing that I feel like has allowed me to help grow and feel like that team environment, that hard work environment again.
And would you say that a lot of that mentality you got through playing sports, specifically soccer?
Yeah, 100%. I think the importance of sports in my life has allowed me to become the person I am today. I think I would not be the same person if I didn't play sports. And I've talked to Aaron about this. Our kids will play sports. I mean, they can take it as far as they want, right? But I want them to have that sports environment, that sports background, because of the lessons that it teaches you. Life lessons, hard work, teamwork, how to work as a team. I think there's so many benefits from sports. Commitment, right? You don't show up, right? You get kicked off the team. So same thing as in the working world, right? You don't show up for your shift. Guess what? You're done. You're getting fired. So there's so much that you can learn and grow from playing sports that I think is such a important. It's been an importance in my life, and it can be important in others. And not necessarily if you didn't play sports, you don't have these hard work, mentality or that kind of stuff or commitment. but for me, it's allowed me to grow, and that's how I got to the point to where I am today.
Yeah, 100%. Absolutely. Yeah, and same for me as well. In terms of sports, the importance of sports, I wouldn't be the person that I am today. Reflecting a lot of the communities that I've been able to get involved in, and a lot of the gratitude that I had towards sports was, well, a lot of the gratitude that I gained in life was through sports, being able to see, Soccer Without Borders, for example. These kids are coming from other countries, they're learning a new language in English, and they have this community to be able to work together on and lean on one another. Me being able to experience that and having that opportunity to, be involved, was amazing for my growth, and to be able to see what sport was able to do for them, when they needed something like that the most was amazing. And I was able to see that from an outside perspective. But then moving into me in a team setting, individually, work ethic was huge. The importance of communication, the importance of showing up every single day, no matter if it's too hard for you, if you're tired, it doesn't matter. You have 7 a.m. training in the weight room, you better be there at 6:45 to start warming up. It's stuff like that. Specifically, the biggest place that I experienced this type of construct of teamwork was when I worked at my restaurant. I got hired to be a supervisor / manager in 1 month while I was there. And they were amazed at my, for the team mentality, someone struggling, I go pick up the slack to help them. I go fill up waters, even though it's not my job. I communicate with the manager to make sure they know who's on task with their job and what needs to be done. Those types of things, they were like, they talked to me like if that was just like a foreign subject, and they'd never seen anybody do that before. But it was just ingrained in me. Sports gives you so many tools to succeed, and I do truly believe that type of pathway that you can have as a youth into adulthood can absolutely give you a one-up as far as being a great employee, whether that's being an employee for somebody or your own employee as a like an independent contractor or someone that's working for themselves. You can draw on so many different things. The importance of sport that's given me the desire to work multiple jobs, be able to start my own types of businesses, all due to sports. And I'm super grateful for that. And that's also brought me into always finding something I need to do, which draws on what we were just talking about, the marathon. After college, I had this time where I just didn't feel like myself. I felt lost. I felt like, if I can't play college soccer, I can't really play soccer. So I took time off. Didn't really know what to do, just lifted. I gained 25 pounds. And
sheesh.
Yeah, I know, big boy,
thick.
And
you're probably more than me.
I think
you were more than me.
I weigh 195 now.
Yeah,
so I've gotten back. But
195, sure.
I was 180. I was 180 when I started college and finished. What?
You were 180 throughout your entire college career?
Yeah.
Not bad. I think I was 180 my freshman year,
Actually,
and I got to 195.
Yeah, I weighted at 215 at one point. Yeah. So even more than
You're a
that.
big boy.
Yeah, I wasn't running, I was just lifting. And I was just eating.
Yeah.
And that was it. And then, it kind of got to a point where I was like, I don't feel good anymore. I'm not enjoying this. And, fast forwarding, looking back at it from my perspective now, I just didn't have that why. I was blindly moving toward the future, and I didn't have an initiative where I wanted to work toward. Every single time I've been successful in my career, in my personal endeavors, I've always set myself up with goals, micro and macro goals, something in the short term, something in the long term. And those years or those, months that I didn't have that and I felt lost, I was missing those things. So getting back to the basics for me, which was, okay, what worked for me in college? Well, I had these micro goals. I have to finish these assignments. I have to finish these certain tasks for my team to get me ready for the games. Macro goals. Where am I going to be next year? And what do I need to work on now so that I can be better for next season? Those were the goals I was setting then. And it was just a matter of, paradigm shifting from soccer specifically to marathon, or at some point we want to do an ultra marathon, triathlons, all those things, lifting. So it's all about creating those goals and that why, like you were saying. Because when I didn't have that, that was when I felt the most lost.
Yeah, and I think to your point too as well to that is the big thing about what I've noticed too that I've struggled with is the structure, the structure behind my day. If I don't have structure in my day, if I don't necessarily have that why, then I have no reason to go and do things. And I think to our points, right, when we're talking about this and this drive and that kind of stuff, this drive could be as something as running an ultra marathon, doing an Ironman, doing something crazy like that. But this drive could also be as simple as just I want to lose 3 pounds, or I want to, I want to walk 5 days this week. So it could be as minuscule or as massive as it wants. But I think the thing about that I've noticed in my life is that if I don't have that why, or if I don't have that drive, I have no reason to wake up and go at 4 a.m. to go to the gym, or I have no reason to do these things that I want to drive and push myself for, and I have no reason to push that needle every day. I'm comfortable where I'm at, and I think that the big thing for me is I like to feel uncomfortable, because that's when you truly grow. And I think when we talk about so right now I'm getting ready to train for my next marathon. The first marathon was awesome, right? It was a lot of fun. We didn't really train for it, let's be honest.
Not really. No, not at all.
We were in a lot of pain. But I have a goal set for myself this time, and I want to hit that goal. And so how am I going to do that? I need to get uncomfortable. I need to push myself. I need to train. I need to work out. I need to do these things. And I think that's allowing me to continue to stay motivated, continue to stay consistent, and allowing me to grow and continue to push that needle. Because not only now am I noticing that I'm working out more and I have that drive, but I'm seeing other benefits in the rest of my outside of my life too as well. When it comes to my work, right, I'm more focused on that. I have that consistency and that structure in my day to where now when I wake up, I have a plan. Even on my days off, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to do this, and this. And then I can start checking it off the list. And I think that's something that's really helps people, grow and push that needle.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, remember our marathon.
Yeah. I guess one more point too as well. Think about when you go to work out. We talked about earlier, right? You wake up, you have that structure that day, that exact same day. You have everything planned out to a point of what you need to do. Without that structure, you just kind of don't have that reason to do anything.
Yep.
But yeah, continue with the marathon.
No, you remember the marathon, right?
Oh yeah.
What kind of went through your head during those 26.2 miles, and what kind of got you from? What were the stages, first of all, start to finish? And then what got you through those miles? And what point did it get better for you or harder?
So, and this is kind of something that I actually watched this video. It's on YouTube. I think it's created by RAI, and it's about these two friends. It's kind of like us, honestly. They wanted to run an ultra marathon, and like I said, I'm into these cheesy videos, into these cheesy motivational speeches, that kind of stuff. But the big thing about that they spoke about is, and this might be another point too as well, kind of another video that I saw down the road, but is really getting that uncomfortable state. When you're uncomfortable, you're truly growing, and doing things that scare you, right? 26 miles. I think the most I've ever run in my life before training for the marathon was probably maybe 6 miles. No, I think 8 miles was the most I've ever run. Right? So to go from 8 miles to 26.2 miles, like, that's pretty scary. I mean, like, for me, what really drove me to do that is that it was something that I knew was daunting and that I knew wasn't going to be easy. Right? I can go run a 10K. That's whatever. I do that anyway on a normal day. Right? So now I wanted to do something that I knew that I was going to have to work for. Granted, we had some injuries and COVID and things that kind of led to some aspects to where we weren't able to train, and I think we signed up pretty late anyway as it is. We signed up like a month and a half before.
Yeah.
So we didn't have a ton of time to train, but when we did start to get in there, and I think that's kind of one of the things that kind of continued to keep me going is I wanted to do something that got me uncomfortable. And I think through the marathon though, the first 13 miles, 14 miles were super easy. Mile 14 to 20 obviously started to hurt. But like they always say, right, the marathon's not won or lost in the first 20 miles. It's won and lost in the last 6. And so between that 20 through 20, I'd say 5.5 was probably the most pain I've ever been in. It sucked, too, because we were running straight uphill for like 3 miles. Mm-hmm. And we had these cheesy signs on the side of the freeway, like, that were supposed to be motivational, but they, like, it's at the time of the point, or you were in so much pain at that point to where you're like, you know what, I don't want to see this stuff. Like, just get it away from me. The signs are like saying it's just a hill, get over it.
Torture. Like, mental torture.
Yeah. But the thing about it was it came down to 2 things, right? You could have easily just sat down and just like, oh, screw this, I'm done. Right? But kept putting that one foot in front of the next one and the next one. And next thing you know, you see the top of the hill. You start to get closer and closer and closer. It's continuing to push that needle. It's continuing to push yourself, right? It doesn't matter whether you're sprinting up the hill, whether you're running, whether you're walking, whether you're crawling. As long as you're continuing to move, you're going to get closer and you're going to obviously improve. And I think for me, that was like the mindset that we took when we got to that point of the marathon, right? It's just continue to move. Doesn't matter what you're doing. You could be skipping, crawling, whatever, but just continue to keep moving. Because when you stop is when your mind goes, when you let your mind take over, and then next thing you know, you're done. And honestly, the feeling when you come around that final turn into the straightaway and you have the entire crowd, screaming, people who you don't even know. They don't even know who you are, but they're cheering for you. It was such a cool moment. I mean, it got me to the point to where it signed me up again for this next marathon in 4 months, 5 months now. So, it was such a cool moment of my life, and obviously I'm so happy I got to do it with you. And it was one of those things where, like, cool, that got me going again. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah. I mean, now we're on to the next one, right? Continue to keep going.
Yep, exactly.
What about you? Where was, like, your point, or what part of the run did you get to that where you're like, wow, this is tough?
So yeah, I mean, I'd been playing soccer at this point and training for sports. So, on an average, for a game as a midfielder, I'd be probably running about 5 to 6 miles a game. The longest run that I had gone on before this marathon was 11 miles. So, I had a little bit of exposure, but nothing of a full marathon. I was fully ready for this marathon. I got to San Diego, I think it was a day before. So I had a full day to just walk around and relax, get a small light run in before the big day. And when we started, it was like 6:45, probably almost 7 a.m. in the morning.
Yeah, it was early.
It was probably around mile 13. So they stack every single individual fan in the first 13 miles.
Yeah.
And then as you get to 14, 15, 16, 17, you can just see the fans start to dissipate. And these are kind of, during the times where you're starting to like black out almost.
You're mentally
out of it. Your body is struggling. You're mentally you're in and out, and you need to stay focused. And one of the biggest things that help, honestly, is that positive reinforcement. So having those people cheer for you, it was actually really nice. But there were certain stints of that marathon where, maybe 2 or 3 miles, you wouldn't have anybody around, and you're just kind of on a straight hill or a straight line, not really seeing anything exciting, and all you have to focus on is how much your body is feeling it. So I think mile 20, I think that was right when that hill started to come in.
Yeah, that was
very, very steady hill, very consistent grade all the way up to I think it was 20 after it was maybe 18 to 23, mile 18 to 23. It wasn't a short hill. But they had, like Brett said, they had those cheesy signs, and I never had that moment in time where I felt like I needed to stop. But those thoughts in your head of just oh, you could walk right now, did come up, and I fought through that as much as I could because I knew that the moment I stopped or slowed down, I wouldn't be able to start again. Because at this point, your knees are hurting, your ankles are hurting. Your body goes through a really, really insane, ordeal. So throughout that whole kind of movement of the 18 to 23, I was really just focused in on every single stride. I looked down, I just focused on my stride, and didn't even stare at that hill. There were people at this point that, if they stared at that hill, they'd probably break down and stop. But I just kept my head down and just kept running up that hill, taking this was one step at a time now. So I took one step at a time, just continue to go. And this is when, I had a rash from my fanny pack. I'm literally bleeding from the side. And I'm God, this hurts. But I just kept going, and I think it was the last mile, I started to pick my stride up like crazy, and it's one of those things where I felt like I didn't have any left in the tank, but just that thought of me being close to the finish line gave me that extra energy to just push that much more, and I passed another 15 people, I just was ready, and by that point, me and this dude were sprinting, trying to he was trying to catch me, and I'd be damned if I let him pass me. So I was just booking it, and I sprinted through the finish line. As much of a sprint as I could have gotten, and it was just the coolest experience. People cheering you on, people super excited that you achieved. The marathon, they give you a finisher medal, all that. But that was a dabble into it, just to kind of get us excited and primed for, what we would expect if we were to want to do this as more of a lifestyle. And ever since then, it's been, okay, when's the next one? There's all these different events that we can do, that we can choose from as athletes. Right now it's more of a marathon, trend right now for us, it seems like, but there's going to be at some point where I know we'll want to transition to train for something else, and I can't wait for that as well. But for right now, it's really we're just getting started with this, and I'm super excited for it.
What's your next thing you got on the schedule, plan wise? You have anything coming up?
Well, I was looking at a couple. But I think it'll probably be in the new year in terms of a marathon. It's probably going to be in January. And so right now I'm really just focused on, opt up.
Round 2? That's what mine is.
Is it?
That's all I'm going to say. Yeah, January 14th and 15th.
Oh, that's your next one?
Yeah.
Oh.
It's flat. It's in Phoenix.
It's in Phoenix?
Yeah.
When it's January. I shouldn't be too hot.
It's going to be cold, bro.
Yeah, I mean,
it's going to be cold. It's supposed to be 68.
Yeah, I wouldn't be opposed to that. Shoot. I mean, if I'm looking for a reason to go out and get a marathon in, that's it right there, then I think that's it. That's going to be it.
Let's run it up. Round 2.
But like I was saying, my focus right now has been primarily just getting miles in on my legs. So right now I'm getting probably about 15 to 20 miles a week. and then focusing purely on strength. So really, short blocks, optimizing my strength. So nothing really any like hypertrophy training. It's all just purely strength. Some plyometric, a lot of stability work and functional movement patterns, just to really optimize, muscle contractions, and reducing that risk of injury is really, really important as well for me, which of course for any athlete it is. So yeah, I think the next year, so 2023, I think that's going to be like maybe the marathon tour. So I probably,
I'm always here.
because realistic, like what I really want to do, as I really would like the objective of everything would be to qualify for like the Boston Marathon. I mean, that would be remarkable.
So I think I saw the qualification when I was just under 3 hours. It's like 2:50 or 2:57, something like that. My goal for this next point marathon is to run a 3:30, which is essentially an 8-minute mile pace. I honestly think that. So here's the thing. I was looking back at some of my old runs when I would run for training. And granted, this is probably not a good thing to. And like, here's the thing: we played soccer. I know nothing about running. I just like to run. I like to push myself. I like to challenge myself. I like to, grow. And I think so. When I was looking back at some of my old runs that I used to do for training for college, I used to hold about anywhere from for my long runs, like a 6:30 to a 7-minute pace.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be anywhere from 3 to 7, 8 miles. So I'm thinking, right, like that's anywhere from a fourth to. A fourth of a marathon. And I'm thinking if I can continue just to build my distance, I should hopefully be able to maintain that pace. So I think 3:30 should be easy, or easier-ish. It's still gonna be hard, obviously, but I don't know.
Yeah,
I think that's definitely my goal too as well. If I'm gonna like eventually, I think I want to do the 3:30, and then after that, I want to do like obviously try to qualify for something like that. Because obviously that's something that I would really want to do is like the Boston Marathon and like that. So I think that's definitely on my bucket list too as well. That's such like a historical run too. I mean, you're up in Boston.
Yeah.
Go see the Red Sox after.
Exactly. I never really focused too much on like those types of individual sports until we actually participated and got the opportunity to compete in track and field for East Bay. And we did the 4x400, as well as the 400 individual, and just being in that environment got me extremely excited and inspired to try something new after college was over for soccer. And the first thing was, of course, that marathon. But a couple others that are on my list of training regimes are the Ironman.
Okay.
So that
was actually going to be my next thing after my marathon. I was going to start training for a half Ironman.
So just so people know, we've talked about this stuff in the past, but never are we we haven't mapped that one out. That was just purely just coincidence. It's a coinky dink.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, the Ironman is something that's just another beast in itself, obviously. It's a
Spartan race too as well.
Spartan race. I know I could do that right now if I wanted to.
Yeah, I feel that. I want to do, I think we also discussed this too as well as an ultra marathon.
The Leadville.
Just get, shout out Nick Bear.
Leadville 100 specifically. They're actually doing it right now.
Are they really?
It's actually happening right now.
Yeah, that would that terrifies me. But I think I like that.
I love that. It terrifies me. It's something that it's really it is the most rugged trail. So the Leadville Trail 100 run is an ultra marathon held annually on rugged trails and dirt roads near Leadville, Colorado, through the heart of the Rocky Mountains. So this is for anyone that doesn't know. First run in 1983, the race course climbs and descends 15,600 feet with elevation ranging from 9,200 feet to 12,620 feet. So let's just see. The course record was Matt Carpenter in 2005. He ran a 15-hour, 42-minute
Jesus.
And 59-second run.
Damn. So here's if we do that, if we both get, because I think for that one you have to put yourself in a drawing, a raffle for that.
Do you actually?
If we both get it, I think so. If we both get it, we're gonna live with each other for like that year, just to train.
Yeah, it's
hopefully by then I'll be remote.
Yeah, for real.
It's gonna be a lot of running, but I think that excites me. Though honestly, like, sounds tough. Obviously, 15,000 feet of elevation change. You're already running at 9,000 feet too as well. Like, that's gonna suck.
Yeah,
but it's gonna be a lot of fun. And obviously to our point, there's nobody I'd rather do it with too as well.
You may register for the. I would. There's no other person I would like to run it with either.
It's gonna be a little hurt if you didn't respond to that.
So you know. So it says you may register for the Leadville 100 run lottery as an individual or a group. A maximum of 4 family members, friends, or teammates can click the group registration options. Group members will register individually, but be sure to use the exact same group name to signify being part of a group. Either your entire group will be successful in the lottery or not, assuring that no one will be left out.
Perfect.
So
we're grouping it up then.
I think we're going to group it up, and then we'll just go together. I think, obviously, I think our significant others would probably be pretty involved in this. They'd have to meet us at every checkpoint and have food like on demand ready for us, because it's an ordeal and a half.
Yeah. I told Erin about that a few weeks ago, and yeah.
I told Maddie, I said, look.
You guys are crazy.
I know. She's like, you're a psychopath, but you know what? I absolutely love that. I stay hungry and always want to compete and push my body to the max. And I told her, like, look, you know what? We'll have like a van, we'll have, a camper or something like that. But you're going to have to drive, probably going to be with Erilyn. Everywhere we go
and do there, get the nails done and all that shit.
Yeah,
we'll just be
during the daytime, but there's going to be nighttime ones where they're going to have to meet us at night and pump us up. No one's sleeping.
Exactly.
No one's sleeping for 15 hours. All right, or however 15 hours is a record. I think it'd probably be much longer than that.
Probably like 25, maybe.
Yeah, it'll be quite some distance, but it'll be one for the books. That's for sure.
Yeah.
So I'm excited about that, very much so.
Cool.
But yeah, man.
Do it.
Back to kind of what we were talking about before in terms of sports and everything. What? Trying to phrase it right. What did you find was the biggest thing different from sports in the United States, so soccer specifically here, playing college, to when you went and played in Germany?
The biggest difference that I saw, obviously, was just the passion level. I think you have a lot of very passionate fans. When you look at soccer in the U.S. versus football in Europe, right? Like, football is their life over there. Over here, we have basketball, we have baseball, we have American football, hockey, all these other sports that you don't really see in Europe. And so that's the one thing. And it's kind of funny. I was watching Premier League this morning, and Leeds United, obviously, got Brendan Aronson and Tyler Adams. But like, you look at like that,
huge win for those boys today. Shout out to them.
I'm now a Leeds fan.
Oh man,
so there we go.
American spirit.
I'm gonna get a jersey. Exactly. But you look at like that environment over there, like everything that they do is soccer. They have so many divisions over there. Just for people who want to play for fun, people who want to continue to play, even though they know that, maybe they're not going to make it to that next level, to that professional level, but they still want to play at a high level to obviously have your top divisions. It's such a cool environment, and the game is so big over there. I mean, I went to when I was in there going on trial with a few teams, I went to a Schalke game. So I actually got to see Weston McKinney play, which is pretty cool. It was actually his first game back from injury. He hurt his ankle, and so it was his first game back. So obviously, good to seeing him play was awesome. But I mean, you walk around the town the day of the game, like everybody's wearing blue. Everybody's either if they're not going to the game, they're at a bar watching the game. Like it's such a big environment, and it's kind of funny. I was thinking about this today too as well, like how much the game has already grown in the U.S. and how much more it's going to grow over the next few years. I mean, look at how many Americans we have playing overseas. Look at how well MLS has grown over the last 5 years, 10 years.
Yeah.
I saw this, or I read. I don't know where I saw this, and I'll probably look it up and maybe I can find it, but the amount of kids who are playing soccer now compared to other sports, like this younger generation, most people are choosing soccer. And I just think for me, myself, like this World Cup coming up in a few months is going to be awesome. I'm excited for that.
Absolutely.
I think it's going to be a big stepping stone for soccer in the U.S. And then look at that. The next one's here in the U.S. And I honestly, like, you heard it here first, I might throw some money on the U.S. winning the World Cup in 2026. That's all I'm going to say.
I love that.
I think that you're going to give some of our players, our younger players, times to grow and gain that experience. But you're also going to look at like how impactful it's going to be for our younger generation, and how much it's going to grow the game here in the U.S. And I think it's going to be a top 3 sport in the United States.
Do you think it's there already? Top 3 sports?
No,
not quite.
I don't think so yet. I think it's getting closer and closer. I still think that there's this stigma that it's a retirement league, specifically when you look at like the MLS, right? It's a retirement league. You have people like Gareth Bale coming over. You have Messi who says they want to come over and retire, and they come over here and they dominate the game. But the level that it's grown over the last 5 years, 10 years, I mean, it's night and day, right? I mean, you go to Quakes games every week.
Yep.
How different is it now compared to it was when you were younger? Level-wise, supporter-wise, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, well, for first, the Earthquakes, they 2015. Was that 2015? It was their inaugural season for their own soccer-specific stadium. Before that, the San Jose Earthquakes had always borrowed other stadiums, Buckshaw Stadium, Santa Clara University. Before that, Spartan Stadium, San Jose State University. Now they have this soccer-specific stadium where, yesterday they played LAFC. They won 2-1. We have a decent level of a team. We just signed the assistant men's national team coach, Lucci something, I can't remember his last name. But, it's definitely grown a lot, the quality of soccer, the youth level, so there's the homegrown players that come in and they can sign homegrown contracts with the club team that they've been developed at. There's a lot more of those. The infrastructure has grown quite a bit. And then on top of that too, a lot of the academy kids, Brendan Aronson, for example, Weston McKinney, Tyler Adams, all those guys were developed at MLS academies and then sent to Europe. So I just pulled this up. So it says, I don't know how realistic it is. I didn't fact check my source here, but this is from frontofficesports.com. It says a survey states that fourth quarter found that 49% of U.S. sports fans like soccer compared to 37% who likes baseball. Hockey. Baseball came out at 57%. So essentially, from what I'm understanding, is that soccer has now become overtaken ice hockey for the 4th most popular sport in the United States. There you go.
And to your point, right, when we talk about homegrown and we talk about the growth of the sport, look at how much youth soccer has grown since when we played. Like,
man, it's tremendous.
It's night and day. I mean, obviously it's been like, I guess now it's been like 10 years since we played club soccer, but like it's grown so much to the point to where like, you have these ginormous academies, and they've reshaped the entire youth soccer format. Mm-hmm. And it's exciting to see because you have a lot of quality coming out of it, and you have a lot of quality going in the future. I think there are still areas of growth. It was kind of funny, actually. I was watching the whole, when we didn't qualify for the World Cup, Stuart Holden's little rant on soccer, and then I went back and I watched the U.S. beating Mexico in the Nations League and Gold Cup and that kind of stuff. But,
yep.
They kind of talk about the way soccer's changed in the U.S., and it's just exciting, right? It's growing, and it's super cool, super exciting.
And when those kids get to watch their heroes, Christian Pulisic, Weston McKennie, Tyler Adams, Zach Steffen, all those guys, all those players, they get to see them play in a World Cup. That makes those kids even more excited and more motivated to
on their own soil too.
Yeah. Even fast forward to the next World Cup. I was just talking about this next World Cup, but even after that, kids, they get to go to the games with their parents, their families, and go watch their American heroes play soccer at their home stadium. That you're going to see a huge uptick of kids, even more so, playing soccer. And I don't know how fast the growth has been in terms of percentage year after year, but I would probably imagine that soccer is the fastest growing sport in the United States still currently. And I'm just so happy to be, blessed to have been a part of it and grown up in that soccer community. Traveling on the weekends, always grinding. I went from club soccer. I did play high school soccer because it was just a fun experience. I never was that kid that was going to be, getting a contract in Europe. I had, have pretty good touch, great vision on the game, but never was the fastest player, and that was what set me back. But it was my journey, and I still play and enjoy it to this day, just in a different way than it was before. Before it was competing, playing for points. Now it's on a Tuesday, meet up with a couple guys and play like five-a-side.
Yeah, exactly. You want to see Rizzo real quick for all the fans? Here's my dog. Our dog, Rizzo. Say hi.
Is he part of the podcast here? Good,
he's part of the podcast.
Good contribution.
Now. We're gonna get him on for as a guest one day.
Our dogs are sleeping currently.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
You go to bed. Let's come out.
Crazy. But I think at this point, as an introductory of a podcast, I think we've covered some good topics and had some good talks about everything. And really, I think the biggest thing to summarize for everyone is that whatever your journey is in terms of being done with school and being done with college sports, is that one, we've all gone through something very similar. That transition from school, that format into being in a workforce. And finding those balances that help you get through those day-to-days. And the growth of this will really be, bringing people on with similar stories, with similar paths, and who have found success, using the objectives and using the lessons they've learned in sports and converting those into their businesses and their employments. And
yeah, I think to your point there as well. Sorry, Rizzo's just sitting here. Yeah, I mean, we want to bring people on, obviously, to share their stories. And I always tell Aaron this, but you go through things in your life for a reason, and you meet people come and go, that kind of stuff. But they're all there for a reason, and so your stories are what make you unique, and your stories will help other people out. And we're no life coaches, we're no, that kind of stuff. But you know what? What we wanted to do is we wanted to share our stories, and we want to interact with other people who have similar stories or other completely different stories that we have, and learn and grow from them. Because that's really what life is about. Continuing to constantly grow and get better, and talking is the best way to do that, right? So if you go meet somebody new, go introduce yourself to them. I think it's super important to meet people and just communicate overall in general.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And I think with that, that'll probably do it for this podcast.
Yep.
Did you have anything else that you wanted to add?
See you next time, I guess.
Yeah.
No, I got nothing much.
Awesome. Well, for anyone that's listening, as we do start to kick off this podcast, thank you so much for listening to the Jared and Brett podcast. We will look to bring new guests every single time that we have an episode. If you do have anyone that that would like to share their story or their path, please feel free to reach out to us. Either comment their name or their contact information. It would be amazing. And let's just continue to grow, be better individuals every single day, and move the needle forward to where we want to see ourselves in the future. So, Brett, thank you for hopping on and doing this podcast. And to the next one, we'll see everybody on there. Thank you.
Of course. See ya.